Ever know in your gut that God has called you to write your book or share your message, but something keeps stealing your time? Or maybe there are lies that are keeping you stuck. If so, I can't wait for you to meet my new friend, Rose Ann Forte. She's the author of several books, including her Transformed by His Promises Devotional, and she also hosts the Say Goodbye and Imagine podcast. We connected on PodMatch, and I couldn't wait to talk to Roseanne about practical tools you can use the next time that fear, self doubt, or procrastination tries to talk you out of showing up. Oh gosh, you're in for a treat today, so let's get to it. So, welcome, Roseanne, to Book Marketing Mania. I'm so thrilled you're here today to serve my listeners.
I'm so happy to be here. Looking forward to our conversation. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So I know, Roseanne, you wrote Transformed by His Promises, a 12-week devotional for freedom from the psychological slavery of life interfering behaviors. And when I saw that, I was like, oh boy, I just need to have her come on selfishly for me, but I also know for my listeners too that, just like you, we're writing and sharing our messages, and some of us have some, much harder messages we're trying to communicate. But either way, God's given us a message He wants us to get out there and share. But I know along the way, we have all these thoughts and feelings and behaviors that come up that maybe interfere with us really fulfilling that calling. So tell us a little bit about your devotional and who you wrote it for and what kind of came out of that.
Yeah, that particular devotional is a follow on devotional to my first one, which is called The Plans He Has for Me. And that came out of a personal problem that I had with alcohol.
Hmm.
And I started learning about neuroscience and mindset changes and gratitude and reflection, all the things that you need to renew your mind, Romans 12:2, and change the physical structure of your brain, change the way it thinks, change the way it operates. I was just blown away.
Hmm.
And I went to a secular program and I learned about the science and I was so transformed and I started putting together these biblical concepts, this biblical wisdom with neuroscience. And so started with the first devotional, which was for alcohol. But then I met by the grace of God, the medical director of the American Association of Christian Counselors. And we started talking, and he's like, wow, Roseanne, what you're doing is not only for alcohol, it's for all thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that are life interfering. And I said, part of me knew that in my gut that this was applicable to everything, but I had a little bit of imposter syndrome about writing a follow-on book. So I said, "Will you co-write it with me?" And he goes, "I'd be honored." So
Oh,
that's where that devotional came from is a collaboration between me and Dr. Benzio. So yeah, it's fabulous. I mean, I just watch people when they're committed to the process, there's a process in following up a devotional. You can do it or you can do it with intention.
uh huh.
And there is a lot of intention in there. There's a writing down of gratitude every day because the science behind gratitude and how it shifts your thinking is big. And it's not just thinking, it's writing it down.
Uh huh.
Your brain pays attention to what it writes down. There's a small area for reflection, and that's kind of considering that day's devotion. And
Hmm.
the daily devotion is a scripture, something called a mindful minute, and then a prayer. And so there's all these things working, and it's probably 10 minutes a day, right?
Hmm.
That's it. It's a practice that takes 10 minutes a day. And it is so life transforming. People really look forward to that time in the morning that they're spending with God and being quiet and listening to his voice and praising him for all the good things that are going on as they remove the habit or the thought or the emotion that is interfering with their life. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I love that so much. I was thinking through, like, it's so easy as writers and authors, to kind of get wrapped up around numbers and all of those different things that we think are important versus what God's calling us to do. And I was just thinking through your gratitude practice. And when I think about sitting down and jotting down what I might be grateful for. It's always trying to think of like these big picture things, my family or, something we've been blessed with. And I forget that maybe there's a piece of it I just need to focus on what I'm struggling with, which might be the writing or marketing and like shifting the thoughts that way. Like I think, gratitude's over here, but then this is over here, but it's really connected. And so having a devotional to work through would be super to help with that. So, because you do talk about behaviors, let's talk about some of the behaviors that writers might be having that are interfering with either it's just writing the message or getting the message out there to people. Like, what do you see maybe from your own story or some, writers you've talked to? What do you see the biggest
I
ones being?
yeah, I put things in 2 categories for people.
Mhm,
It's, I don't have the time limitation,
mhm,
which isn't really saying that time doesn't exist.
uh-huh,
It's time is being spent somewhere else.
uh-huh,
And so that's the question. What behavior might be stealing your time?
mhm,
And a perfect example for me that I just addressed myself is when I was getting up in the morning, I was picking up my cell phone first
mhm,
before I was, praying or spending time with God or even making my coffee. And I just noticed that my time on my cell phone was really distracting me in
mhm,
getting things done. And I'm a writer, right? I have to have quiet time. And so one of the behaviors I had to shift for myself, which by the way was not easy, was not looking at my cell phone until my time with God was done.
uh-huh,
And let me tell you, I was pretty irritable for the first 3 weeks.
uh-huh, yeah.
So, anyway, it's a I don't have time limitation. So,
Mhm,
now we have to go, "Well, what's stealing my time?" A decade ago or over 6 years ago, alcohol was stealing my time, and boy, does
mhm,
that steal a lot of time. You're drinking, you're recovering from drinking, and then you're thinking about how not to drink anymore.
yeah.
So, that's a lot of time, and then there's behaviors, right? That maybe it's checking social media or going shopping or whatever it is, right? You could just put it in a lot of buckets. But the second thing that especially affects writers, I think, is a self-confidence driven
Mhm,
limitation. So this is about how we learn to see ourselves, right?
mhm,
Is it imposter syndrome? Is it shame from our habits? Right? And I'm going to go back to my drinking, right? If I'm drinking a lot and I'm obsessed with how to stop drinking, then I'm filled with shame and I don't feel qualified to
mhm,
move forward and write, right? Is it a different hidden struggle, repeated failures at something, or words spoken over you by
mhm,
someone else, right? And then you start coming up with what I call familiar lies. I'm not ready yet.
mhm,
I just need a little more time. I don't want to fail. What if I get it wrong? Oh, somebody does it better, right?
mhm,
There's just all these things that are coming up in our thought processes that deal with our inability to do it. And God didn't create us to be stopped by a thought that's inconsistent with what
mhm,
he speaks over you. What I love to share is the fact that our uniqueness is a gift from God. And we are all trying to fit in and be average and ordinary.
mhm,
But the people who make a big impact in the world are the fearless people who use their gifts and talents to make a difference. There's nobody in the world that has your DNA proves it, right? This is why I love
mhm,
science.
mhm,
There's nobody in the world that's been like you before, and there's nobody in the world that will ever be like you in the future. You are a gift, and you have gifts, and you need to get the thought patterns removed so that you can clear the way to be all that you were meant to be.
mhm. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, there's so many things that come up, right? And just Yeah, just figuring out what to do with them. And, do you have kind of a process you would recommend people follow to do that?
Yeah, drinking and any other habit, they're a
Mhm.
little bit the same because just think about it when we wanna go on a diet, right?
Mhm.
The changing behaviors is hard,
Yeah.
and if we could all say, "You know what? I don't like that behavior. I'm gonna stop and do it," it would be
Uh,
amazing. But the fact is we're all stuck in changing a habit that we wanna change. So, that's why I wrote a book called Prepare to Quit, because I was heartbroken over people who wanted to change their behavior but couldn't.
uh-huh.
And then I would talk to people that wanted to change their behavior and could.
Uh-huh.
What's the difference? And that's what's in the book, right? All these processes. And the first process is being aware of what's going on,
Mhm.
without shaming yourself for it. And that's the key, right?
Mhm.
Just using facts. And I'll use my cell phone, right? Before I actually quit the habit, I had to watch the habit. I
Mhm.
pick up the cell phone first thing. It's automatic. I wasn't even thinking about it, and it'd be in my hands, right?
Mhm.
So you have to slow down and look at the facts. And the facts are, geez, every time I do that, it's sucking up my time and really providing no value. It's keeping me from doing what I want, which is spending time with God. And when I spend time with God, by the way, I get inspired to write something.
Mhm.
So, you know, but it's not noticing it once.
Mhm.
It's noticing it again and again and again and again. And then you go, you know what? I don't like that pattern. So you have
Mhm.
to dislike one pattern enough to be motivated and look forward to a new pattern. That's
Mhm.
kind of the most simplistic thing. But that's, I do spend a lot of time in the alcohol and substances world. It's no mystery that people relapse a lot, right? And
Mhm.
that's because I think they don't take the time to understand the patterns without shame. That's
Mm.
the problem. Is shame when
Mhm.
we're like, there's something wrong with me. I get,
Yeah.
I'm unfixable. I can't do it. Like those are
Uh-huh.
so unhelpful thought patterns. And I just want to take away the shame and go, what's happening? I'm
Uh,
stressed. I need a drink.
uh-huh.
Does the drink really solve the stress? No. Like, it helps me with relationships. Well, over time, it actually worsens them, right? It
Mhm.
worsens connection. And so it's looking at the patterns and facts and how it's ruining it. Because with a substance, you literally have to come to a place where you hate what it's doing to your life. And I want to be intentional when I talk about that because I'm not putting the focus on the person. I'm putting the focus on the lie of that thing,
Mhm.
right? And when you can shift the focus from any shortcoming of you to what is that thing causing me? What is that idol causing me? Then
Mhm.
it becomes easier and easier over time to go, okay, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm ready,
Mhm.
right? And it's the same thing with any habit is don't beat yourself up for not being able um to move it out of the way. It takes a lot of self-awareness and practice. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's so true, and, like, you were talking about I mean, time is the one we always hear the most about, or focus is another one I hear about from, writers, and, I mean, I struggle with it myself, obviously, and is it, "I don't have time," or is it, "I don't even know what to focus on," and so all those contribute to so there's obviously something else I'm focusing on because 'cause I'm focusing on something, right? Maybe it's that I have this huge
Right.
list and I don't know where to start or, and then I, like, bug out. I know, like, for me, my issue's food, or, it might be social media. It might be like, "Let me just go online and scroll for a while because I don't know what else to do," right?
Netflix, binge watching,
Yeah,
right,
yeah. Yeah, it's all these things. So I so appreciate you saying that it's not just one thing, right? I mean, all these behaviors, are similar, we're coming at them from a similar direction, and it's just, yeah, what are we choosing to do? Um, So that's so good. Well, so especially for like you talked about failure, or maybe like somebody is speaking something to you. Like I think about like getting online. That's a big issue, right? It's just like, oh, I don't want to be online because I don't like it, period. I feel like it's all about me and it shouldn't be. But then it's also like, what is everyone else going to say or think about me, So if you're going through those kind of struggles and getting into problem behaviors because of that, what do you have to suggest?
Yeah, and I went through that same struggle myself, right? And I had to deal with it. And especially when God's involved, especially when
Mhm.
you have been called to do something, it's in your gut, you know it,
Mhm.
right? It's in your gut, you know it, but it's fear that is stopping you. And we all know that do not fear is one of the most used terms across all of the Bible, right?
Mhm.
And so we know that's coming from the enemy. But if there is this burning desire to do something in you that you know you're supposed to do, then you need to remember one, God called you to do it.
Mhm.
And that alone helps with the fearlessness because if God calls you to do it, He's going to open a door, He's going to impact lives, He's going to change lives. And what I think also in everything I do, let's just say you're speaking to an audience of, I don't know, 100 people. What if only one heard the message?
Mhm.
Would that be enough?
Mhm.
Like just one. And I think on social media platforms and getting out there, it's more, and I teach my coaches sometimes are afraid to get online. I go, it's not about you.
Mhm.
It's about them,
Mhm.
right? What you are called to share something with them. And so kind of getting rid of that, it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all
Mhm.
about me. That's really like it's the opposite of what God calls us to do, right? If you look at what Paul did,
Mhm.
he got up and spoke. He didn't care about the consequences. And, when we speak truth about God, my experience is there's not a lot of pushback, especially if
Mhm.
your message isn't helping people, right? Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's getting rid of the fear. I have something called the LIE acronym
Mhm.
that I use, that I came up with, and it's look, intercept, explore.
Mm.
So look at the story you're telling yourself and identify its false nature. So it doesn't matter if it's alcohol or going to the refrigerator, right? Or a thought about I'm not
Mhm.
good enough. Look at the story you're telling yourself and identify its false nature. And then intercept that thought. That's
Mhm.
the middle word, intercept, with a vision of your future self, the
Mm.
one God created you to be. And so again, you know in your gut that you're called to do this, and your future self needs to see the fact that you've completed it and you're impacting people. So
Mhm.
intercept that thought with a picture of your future self and then explore alternative behaviors and thoughts until that. I use the LIE acronym mostly for
Mhm.
addiction. So until the craving disappears, but it
Mhm.
could be, explore alternative thoughts
Mhm.
until the truth comes to bear and God's truth that is embedded in, heart, soul, and mind. And
Mhm.
so what I like about that acronym is that if you practice it enough, think about going it to the refrigerator or wanting ice cream. Like that
Mhm.
was my thing, sugar, right? And you open it up and you go, lie, close,
Yeah.
right? And so you can just shortcut it, but you've got to practice it first.
Uh-huh.
And then you just recognize the lie, but that's how to process the lie is look,
Yeah.
intercept, explore. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great acronym. Yeah, because lie, that'll be in your mind for sure. And then, yeah, a way to work through it. I love that so much. And I was just thinking, like, when you were talking about impact, that's really what we are called to do, right? Is just to impact others and lead them to the Lord. And I was thinking, that's just a great gratitude practice is like just being able to be grateful. Like you said, if one person is impacted and that's enough, and it should be enough, right? Then we need to be grateful for that. We were impacted one life today, and just being able to
Well, and
rest in that.
I used to live in San Diego, and there was a pastor there called Miles McPherson. He was,
Mhm.
gosh, I can't remember his church. It's a mega church. But he had a sermon one day that really impacted me. He goes, "What if every one of you only impacted 3 lives for the
Mhm.
kingdom? And then those people impacted
Mhm.
just 3 lives." He goes, "The multiplication effect is enormous."
Mhm.
And, it's not about changing the world, but it's about impacting. And if you
Mhm.
have a message in a book or you have been called to write, it's no coincidence, right? That's
Mhm.
why it stuck. When I was drinking a lot, it was like, and I'm sure this happens with any habit that starts interfering with our lives, right? We go, what happened to me? I used to be so goal oriented. I used to
Mhm.
be able to do whatever I put my mind to do. What happened to me? Well, what happened to you is, a behavior or a thought or an emotion that is interfering with your ability to get things done. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And just being able to somewhat simplify it, so then you can dig into it and get God's help with it. I think that is so helpful. So let's talk about PodMatch since that's where we connected, Roseanne. Tell me about your experience with PodMatch. Like, how did you find out about it and how it's going for you to share your message through?
I was a very early adopter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of PodMatch. And it has really gotten me opportunity. Like before I knew about that, I was, researching podcasts
Uh
and
huh.
pitching manually and following up. And oh my gosh, it's like a dating app,
Uh
right?
huh. Yeah.
It's with the podcasts. And I was on it for a long time and then I got off it for a short time and I regret that. And then
Mm-hmm.
I got on it because I lost all my history.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, it's not perfect in terms of, you're missing sometimes, but it's good experience. There's people
Mm-hmm.
starting podcasts that you can practice on. If you have a message to give, I've been writing books now for 4 years, and, maybe the first time you give the message, it's challenging,
Mm-hmm.
but over time, the more you speak it, the more you speak it, the more you speak it, you're refining, you're refining, you're refining, and you're getting better at
Mm-hmm.
your message. So, it's a great inexpensive way to test your skills as an interviewee and grow and find opportunities to spread your message. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that so much. I know that's what I love about it is it's kind of an easy button somewhat to push on pitching, but it's also just, yeah, getting to meet. I'm sure it's like as a fellow podcast host, Roseanne. I mean, I'm just always like I kind of feel like I know podcasts. Like, oh, I know all the podcasts. You kind of think that in your mind as a podcaster, but then you don't realize, oh my gosh, there's all these podcasts I had no idea, existed. So as a listener, I can listen to. But yeah, for once to pitch, and I think it really gets us outside of our typical bubble of thinking, I know all the podcasts, so, yeah, it just introduces you to new ones, and especially like your topic can go to a Christian audience or a secular audience, and, there's just so many different avenues of people you can serve that need the message, and again, I just think it's the easy button way to get to all those podcasts without having to go do all the work
It
and
is the easy
find
button
them,
way.
yeah.
It is. It takes a little bit of work, a little bit of thought, but
Mhm.
it grows your own marketing skills, right?
Yeah.
Because they teach you how to pitch and how to have a good pitch, and people rate your pitches.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, no, they keep growing and doing a great job at what they're doing, so.
Yeah, I just love them so much. Yeah, it's so incredible. Well, this has been so awesome. Yeah, I'm so thankful for them so that I got connected with you, Roseanne, and could get introduced to you on your books and things. And I'm just so thrilled you were here today to serve my listeners. And I'll be sure and put links to everything in the show notes so everybody can check you out.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun, and yeah, I also appreciate Alex and Podmatch for getting us together because
Yeah.
it's not the normal connection,
Uh-huh.
It was a perfect connection.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I'm so grateful. Yeah, thanks so much, Roseanne. Oh gosh, I love what Roseanne shared. God didn't create us to be stopped by a thought that's inconsistent with what he speaks over you. Oh, goodness. So, next time you feel like you're not ready, or you're not qualified, or you're not good enough to share your message, try her LIE acronym that she talked about because you are called to write and share your message. And don't let a lie be the reason the world never hears it, especially the reader you wrote it for. Thanks for tuning into Book Marketing Mania today. And as always, I'll be there for you next episode to help you reach and serve your readers one podcast at a time. See you then.